everybody to mute themselves. I'm going to mute people, but just not to disturb. And then after the session, we will have time for questions and answers. So then please unmute yourselves and we will go through questions. So to start, first of all, I want to welcome everyone and say thank you for finding time from your busy day to attend this. I believe that this is a very important topic. It's a huge topic that cannot be really covered in one or two webinars, but we are going to continue presenting more things about AI in the future. So this is the second webinar in the series. So Xvand has partnered with Barry Rosen from WSI, who has been doing talks about AI for quite some time already. He is a part of a digital marketing agency, and there will be a section in this webinar where he's going to cover some of what he does, and we'll share how AI can be applied to digital marketing and processes and video creation, but I'm going to let Barry cover that when we get to it. So I'm going to start. I just want to make sure, does everybody see my screen? Yes? Nods? All right, very good. So this is how we're going to lay out. So this is presented by me, Andrei Sherman, and Barry Rosen right here on the right. So the agenda is that we're in an introduction, and then we're going to do a deep dive in Copilot, Microsoft Copilot. I think that it's very relevant to most of our clients, first of all, because there is a portion of Copilot you already have with your licenses, the Microsoft Business Premium, and then there is an addition to Copilot that I'm actually going to do most of the talks about, and we'll talk about the benefits of buying an extra license. And then for 15 minutes, Barry is going to take over and do the ChatGPT benefits and using AI in digital marketing. And then we're going to have a closing section for about 8 minutes. So we'll see how we'll run with the time. I hope that we're going to be able to adhere to this, but we definitely want to leave time for the questions and answers. So with that being said, I'm just going to start. I guess before we go to the Copilot, I just want to say that AI is really affecting our lives. And, there are so many talks about that in 5 years, we're going to live in a completely different environment that we can't even necessarily even predict what it will be because of what AI is going to do and, the areas, how it's going to affect all the different areas of life. So I think it's very important for everyone, for business leaders, for anybody to really be forward thinking and start using AI to some extent and, try to understand how to work with it, how to benefit it. Another thing that I keep hearing that AI is not going to replace our jobs, but people who know AI are going to replace people who don't know AI, right? So this is why we decided that this is an important thing to cover. And again, second webinar in the series. So Microsoft Copilot. There are several AI implementations out there, right? And you have ChatGPT, you have Claude, you have Google Gemini, you have several others. So why Microsoft Copilot? First thing, Microsoft Copilot owns 49% of OpenAI or ChatGPT. So it also uses the ChatGPT engine, and the majority of you know that ChatGPT 5 was released in the beginning of August. So Microsoft inherently just starts using ChatGPT 5 at the same time as OpenAI releases ChatGPT 5. The difference between Microsoft Copilot and anybody else is that Microsoft really designed their products to work with the data that lives in Office 365. So if ChatGPT and any other AI products, you have to actually upload the data to them. There are security concerns. There are, you actually have to let them or give them the data to work with, and then you need to be really diligent about making sure that they don't learn the model on that data. Microsoft Copilot inherently works with your data that lives in Office 365. The requirement is that it has to live in Office 365. So that means that the data has to be in SharePoint, the data has to be in Teams, the data has to be in Outlook, in email format in Office 365. But if it is, it has access to that data. So what it does, with access to that data, it respects existing permissions. So if users have permissions only to these several files on the SharePoint, when they ask Copilot a question, Copilot is going to analyze only these files. It's not going to go to the whole company-wide data folder and give them the answers for that. You have audit trails with Copilot. You can have role-based, you can set up roles and access will be enforced. So when you are working with Copilot, all the permissions are set up correctly, and we're going to talk about it a little later, you know that your company data is safe. Versus working with anybody else, you really have to make sure that there are checkboxes in some applications or in some AI implementations where you can say, do not allow the model to train on my data, but this has to be configured, checked, cannot be enforced by the company IT. It's an individual setting. With Copilot, it's just an inherent thing. So to implement Copilot properly, there is a security checklist for that, right? So what is very important is that because it has access to all of your data, the security for the permissions have to be set up correctly. Because again, if you think about it, somebody has access to some kind of HR data that they are not supposed to have access. If they don't know that they have access, they might not even look at that folder, right? They might not be able to even figure out where that is. But if they ask a question, if they ask Copilot a question, and that goes to everywhere they have permissions, it will return whatever data they have access to. So it really becomes a very important issue to make sure that all permissions are set up correctly. Then we can assign sensitivity labels to files to remove, to make sure that, again, this is still talks about the permissions. And then Copilot readiness assessment. It's really educating staff on AI, on the data policy. And I think it's important to say here that every company, it is our advice for every company to have an AI policy. It can be as easy as, you're allowed to use only Microsoft Copilot because that's a secured, inherently secured things, and none of the data is being used for teaching the models and producing results for somebody outside of the company. Or it can be more sophisticated, where it says you can use other products, but you need to make sure that, if it's a company data, you don't paste it, or if you do, then you have this checkbox that the language model doesn't learn on that. So regardless of what is the right thing for your company, the advice is that you do have something. We can definitely advise on that. So security compliance. Microsoft is the only vendor out there who designed their product to be secure and compliant with all these HIPAA, GDPR frameworks and requirements. So any company that is serious about data security, Microsoft Copilot is a great answer for them. So just again, going quickly, data stays within Microsoft tenant. It's governed by Microsoft Purview product. there are audit trails, and then there are special policies that you can do on what what data can be, what users can do. So I'm gonna start. The idea behind this was to show some demos, and so that you can see how things are working with what can be done with Copilot. Again, the subject is so vast that I'm going to cover only a small portion of what can be done. I am again, it's a live demo, so I hope it's all going to work. We'll see. If it doesn't, then we'll do it next time. And but let's see how all of that plays out. So all Microsoft products, if you purchase this, so let's talk a little bit about the licenses. So the Office Business Premium license allows you to do the kind of the ChatGPT function, the Copilot chat, secured, right? So that means, and I'm going to show you. Actually, maybe I can show it right now. So this is Microsoft Copilot chat. And see, for me, there is a work tab enabled here. So if you don't purchase the Copilot product, but you have the Office 365 Business Premium, which I know all of our clients do, then you will have this web option. And this is basically an alternative to ChatGPT, but again, this is not sending any data out there for learning. So you are safe using that. None of the data is going to go anywhere. So I strongly encourage anyone who doesn't really have a policy, either create a very simple policy for company users and say, use this. You're allowed to use this. And then if anybody needs something like more than that, then, go on case-by-case basis. But all the Microsoft products, if you purchase the Microsoft Copilot license, all the Microsoft products will have a Copilot button in there. So this is a button that exists in Word. So what you just wanted to show you what you can do in Word. So this is a document that it was a request for proposal that we need to fill out, 47 pages. To read through that, it takes time. So you can see. So summarizing would be nice. And what Copilot does, it actually suggests some of the things that you can start with. So you don't even have to type. So here it says, summarize this doc. So I can click on it, and as you see, it very quickly, it provided this summary for the document that actually is definitely less than 47 pages long. It talks about what's important for the Houston Park Board, what are project and scope, what is the current IT environment, and this document actually already filled some responses, so it shows what are the responses for Xvand. You can, this might be too long, so I can say maybe condense. And it will, it should really come up with something that is going to be even less shorter version of what it produced before, and easier to digest, right? I can tell, so this is Word. Again, there are a lot more usages, but again, for the time sake, we're going to move to Excel. So Excel, this is a sample file that has a lot of sales data. And so the question is, sorry. Okay. The question is, we can definitely look and analyze it, in the standard ways of working with Excel. But we can just tell it summarize sales performance by region, for example. So there are several regions in this data. It's a company that is selling tablets, mice, keyboards, and pads. And it should look at the data, summarize it, and produce a result. The total result. There you go. Okay, and you can even So first of all, it summarized it. It gives you a text that basically what it found, and also you can actually insert it in a new sheet, right? And then here you can work with it in Excel. You can also, like, if you want to, everybody knows what a pivot table is and how to work with them, but again, instead of doing it yourself, you can just ask Copilot to do it for you, and then it will arguably it will take a lot less time to actually do that, because I know when I do this, I would make mistake here and there, and then I need to figure out where and what is not working. Copilot will just do it. It will also give you the information. You can also insert it in a sheet, and then here is your pivot table. Now, but I think the better even usage for that is, what if I don't really know what? So I looked at the data, I analyzed the data, um, and I'm thinking, is there something that I missed, right? What else can I be looking at? And you can actually say, show data. And by the way, if you don't type it correctly, it will correct it. Or will understand it instead of correcting. But it will look at the data and it will suggest things that it thinks are important. And I find that useful because in some cases, it produces some graphics or some things to look at that I don't necessarily would think about myself. This time, this produced just the names. Copilot is a live thing, right? It's evolving. So the results from one time to another actually might different, but it tells you what you can look at. Let me do this. Add all insights to grid. Let's see if it does that. Sometimes there are issues. But I think I worked on it when I was preparing for the webinar yesterday. So this is actually what it produced for me. Yes, it's kind of what it produced for me yesterday. So it produces some graphs, and it did COGS by product, campaigns, looked at produced some weeks that and showed some of the weeks that were outliers in the sales process. So some things that you might not even think about. So I'm sorry it didn't work this time, but again, it's AI is the things are changing so rapidly, and sometimes there are hiccups. That's all I can say. All right, so let's move to PowerPoint and Outlook and Teams, which I think is a lot more interesting. So this is what we can try to do in PowerPoint, which I don't normally use a lot of, but this is what so we can actually tell it generate slides. Oh, no, hold on. This is not how I want to go here. Okay, so so you can say create with Copilot. You can actually reference a file. I'm going to reference the same enhanced data. And then basically it's going to take that Excel file that we just looked at, it's going to analyze it, and it's going to produce a presentation. And you can actually tell it, presentation for whom, what type of things you want to cover in there. And it will just generate slides. And again, the idea behind Copilot that it's not going to go 100% work for you, right? But even if it does 60 or 80%, that's a huge benefit, a big start. I know for me, sometimes I look at the task and I have to, figure out where do I even start. With AI in general, it's a huge help where it can do so much to get you started, and then you take it from there, and then you start modifying and changing things. But as you see, it took the data, it took in this standard Excel file, and it just provided slides to cover what it can see in the data. It produced some graphs, and again, this is just it not necessarily should be very meaningful here. But what I'm trying to say is that it's a very quick start for anything that you need to be doing. You just need to feed the data, tell it to do what you need. It will do it with a various level of success, but again, it usually gives a huge benefit of starting. So that's a PowerPoint. Now, Outlook and Teams, and I think this is where it actually becomes a lot more useful. And I'm gonna try to, so many things are running here that I'm a little lost myself. Okay, so Teams. So I'm gonna ask it. The problem with demoing it is because you really need to have data. So I am going to ask to work with my environment. If I see that it produced something that I'm not necessarily want to share, I'm going to try to hide it or close. But I apologize for that in the beginning. But preparing it in a demo account is very difficult because it really needs data, right, to be able to. In Teams. So I had a meeting with a prospective client, and I'm going to say analyze and meeting. So it should search for all the different meetings that we had. It will, it should find it, and it will talk about. So this was the meeting that, and by the way, the Copilot product, if you buy a Copilot product, you get this recording and AI transcripting for Teams as well. So I know a lot of people are already using some type of AI note takers. So Copilot gives you that as well. So if you have Copilot, and you use Teams, you don't really need to use any other note taker. So here is, so we had a meeting. It's a prospective client, right? And this is, it basically summarized everything. What is it that we talked about? And now I am gonna say, so what are the next steps? And it will go and will research on what it thinks that, from that meeting, the next steps were. Okay, so it talks about what we discussed and what should be delivered and what we should do, and then I was going to ask what happened. Let's see what it does. Because remember, this Copilot has access to everything. Even though I'm in Teams, but in reality, it has access to everything. So let's see. There. So So first of all, it found an email that was sent, that Stan sent to me after the meeting, right? So he followed up with the mail sending it to me. Then I shared the presentation back to him, and then we discussed some next steps. And then I can now see it says, would you help drafting a follow-up message to Stan? And by the way, it gives me the choices, right? So I can tell it, draft a follow-up message to Stan based on, and it has again access to the Teams meeting. It has access to what we already exchanged in email. And now he is actually producing the email to Stan that summarizes everything that happened and the key next steps. And let's say I read it and I say, and I think that this is too strict, and I can say, make it more casual. And it will rewrite email in a more casual way. And if I want to make it a little different, I can adjust it. And if I want to take this and then insert some of the things that I really want to be there and Copilot missed, I can do that. But again, this is a huge help from productivity standpoint on, what to get you started, to give you in the right mood, to give you the right language, to make sure you are not forgetting anything that was discussed. It's going to make sure that all the points that you are there are going to be there. Again, if it misses something, you can definitely add, but it's a lot better than trying to come up with everything yourself. And then it's it can, I mean, that's an email, but it can add my booking page to that email, and so that it will change the text inside the email saying that please use my booking page to and it knows that I'm Andrei, so a lot of work has been done. So this is Teams. I'm going to show something in Outlook as well. So this is the new Outlook interface. There is a Copilot button here. Microsoft, for now, they are putting it in different places. At least the color or the same, the icon is the same, right? But I think they're going to work more on unifying where the actual buttons are. You can, what I'm using it for is really that I'm not going to show because it's going to produce some of my private data. But the big usage here is to say, summarize email, what is the most important things in my mailbox for today? What are most important things in my mailbox for the past couple of days? And it's actually going to list everything. It's going to give you the references to the actual emails. It's going to give you summary of everything that you need to work on, and that's just a huge help from organizing standpoint. And I know, a lot of people, I know I'm getting hundreds of emails a day, right? And Microsoft is helping with having focused mailbox and not focused, but even in my focused, it's too many emails. I come in the morning, I already have 20, 30 emails already there. And, instead of going through them, I can do this. But let's see what it does. Find emails related to RAM, which is one of our clients. New office for the past couple of months. So instead of going and searching, searching in Outlook has been a go-to tool for me for a long time. I stopped putting things in folders. I'm relying on search. But when you're relying on search, you have to give it exact things, right? With Copilot, you see how I described it, right? I gave it a company name. I told it that they're opening a new office. And I told him to limit the search for a couple of months, right? And this is basically, it found 115 emails. That's probably an overstatement. I don't think there were that many, but it will find, emails about, how I discussed it with my internal staff, emails that we site walkthrough with the vendor that we found there who's going to help us out with deploying because it's not in Houston. Project coordination and billing, all the different things that actually happened in the project. It's going to reference all emails. I can even here ask, are there any other files related to this? And it should find files that exist with maybe some possibly some quotes that we provided and things like that. So see, it's actually, so this is an older thing, but there is a statement of work here, project calculator. So basically it provides all the different stuff that it thinks are related, and you can narrow the scope, obviously. So this obviously way too wide. So we, if I see that, and I would say, no, please look at the, at past couple of months of data. And we can also wear an outlook. So, what if I want to let my partner know what's happening? Write a summary email to Victor about the project. And it should provide, basically an email with all the key points of what happened and, and where we are in the process. So again, this is all that I have for demos. The only other, well, I actually wanted to do, but I'm running out of time. So this is a Microsoft Copilot interface for that that is available on the web. All right, there you go. And if you have a Copilot product, you will have this work tab, and that has access to everything in your Microsoft tenant that you have permissions to. And it will work with any type of a document that is there. And it will look at the data, it will summarize the data, it will help write emails, whatever. Copilot also has agents, and we're going to cover agents later. But for now, they're giving you two agents. One is researcher, where I can tell, okay, research this type of a subject for me. It will go to the web and it will, scrap all everything that it could find, and it will provide you detailed research of what it could find. Or analyst, where you can point it again and say, please analyze this type of file, this data, and give me your insights, what you can think of. All right, so that's that. All right. So this presentation really was a very quick overview of how AI and Copilot in general can save you money. And I think that, again, every company that is invested in Office 365, I think Microsoft Copilot is just a natural answer from security standpoint, from accessing to your data, because what I showed with Excel and Teams is not available in any other product, because no other product has access to all of the data at the same time. You can upload individual things, but having access to everything that lives in your environment is very unique to Microsoft. There are ways to connect ChatGPT and others specifically to some portions of your data, but there is work involved, and it's not going to be all the data. There are going to be pieces of data, and it's not as easy. With Copilot, it just comes naturally. The idea on how to adopt it, again, you want to start with the pilot group. My advice would be actually to start with the higher level management, where security is less of a concern. Make sure that there is a use case, start using it, because the best thing is to lead by example. During that, look at the security, make sure all permissions are done, then start measuring time saved, and start putting this out for the key employees and start progressing it to organization. But in reality, again, my advice would be to project from the top, or proceed from the top to the bottom. Okay, so now real quick, Copilot versus ChatGPT. Again, there are other products out there. I think ChatGPT is the most widely used. Some key comparisons. So data access. So Copilot pulls data from everything, as I said, living in Microsoft. ChatGPT only uses input that you gave it. You can upload file unless you use APIs or agents that you can connect to your data. That usually requires more technical knowledge, and again, there are limitations with that. Security all works with Office 365 permissions. ChatGPT, no organizational permissions at all. Integrations embedded in all the applications. ChatGPT, there are plugins for different apps. Personas. So this is actually a benefit, I think, with ChatGPT. I like it more in ChatGPT, where you can actually tell it, I am now I don't know, a CFO, and I need to make decisions about this, right? And it will act as a CFO. And you can save these permissions. With Copilot, you can also do that, but this is not going to be saved across the sessions. You will have to give it content every time. With ChatGPT, you can actually save a persona, and you can say, and then you can choose that persona later and say, okay, this is what it is. And so here the recommendation is the use case is productivity, summarizing, drafting, basically working with your data, analyzing. And with ChatGPT, it's more of a content creation and marketing. So this is where we are actually transitioning to Barry. But this is the book that I highly recommend for everyone to read. It is really written from the standpoint of a business leader, of how to use AI to become a better leader, prepare for the future, and how to really utilize the power of AI, not just for drafting emails, what I showed, but really to make better decisions, become a better leader, better employee, and use AI as a tool to organize your thoughts, come up with some ideas and things like that. So again, highly recommended book. And with this, I am passing it all to Barry. Hello? Barry, you're muted.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
All right, excellent. I'm going to quickly share my screen here. And I'm going to show something that I created, and then I will kind of go through how I did that. So just give me a second here. Can you see that?
No.
Can you see it now?
Hold on a second. Yes.
Okay.
There's no volume. There's no sound.
Volume? Okay. Well, I guess it's not playing the sound for this, but I'll kind of, you can see what it is, and I'll talk about it in a moment.
What's his name?
Barry.
Barry, if you share with audio, we'll be able to hear.
Yeah, you might be able
If I
to
can
share
do
with
that,
audio. You're right.
that 1 minute. Let's see. I'll share with audio. Give me 1 moment. I will try it one more time. Okay, let's see. Let me try to, if it will, see if it will allow me to share with audio. Let's see. Maybe if I share it, I didn't see an option, but if I share the entire screen, perhaps. Let's see.
No, yeah, but then you need to include sound. Right on the top, when you say share content, you should see include sound.
I'm using the the web version. I'm not using the full app, so that might be a limitation on my end.
Okay. I guess
All right,
then
well,
go back to
yeah, it's okay. Just go back to the to the deck, and I can share that out, that file out very easily afterwards as well, so people can
okay.
watch that and see exactly what that is. So, well, the point of that, if it had worked, is that that was a 30-second spot of video that I created entirely using AI, and I've created a couple of those. So what I was going to do today is kind of show you some of the tools that I'm using and how I do that, and then if that's something that you're interested in. Once I kind of figured it out, it probably takes me about an hour, and everything that I'm using is completely free. So you would not have to pay for any of these tools at all, especially if you've got an existing account with ChatGPT, or if you've got Copilot, you can use some of those as well. So let's see. And are you sharing the deck, Andre?
I can.
Yes, if you don't mind, that would be great.
So go to the next one.
Yes, that would be great. All right, it's coming up for me. All right, 1 moment. I'm just waiting for the screen to show for me. I've got a backup of the slides I can pull up as well. I'll just pull that up real quickly. All right,
It
there we
looks
go.
like your connection is not great.
My connection is not great. I apologize about that. So, all right, sorry for that taking so long. So basically, you know, what I've been doing lately, so my background is just digital marketing. I actually went to the University of Texas and got a degree in film production. So I was doing editing, directing, writing films in college. And so now I'm able to kind of use the tools that we have today to kind of do the same, which is kind of neat. So in the past, you would need a camera, a studio, a crew, equipment. You would need editing. And all of this would probably take several weeks to produce a 30-second spot, even if you were doing it very cheaply. You know, it would take you a long time to do that. Today, with a laptop and prompts, you can pretty much do that in hours versus weeks. So what would typically have taken me several weeks in the past, I can do in a couple of hours, literally in the comfort of my own living room. So next slide. So what are some of the AI tools that you can use for video creation? So I'm using a couple of different tools. One is called, I'm particularly using, is called Veo. That is something that actually comes with Google, but that allows you to put any prompt into that tool just like you would in ChatGPT, And instead of generating an image, it generates a video. And in the prompt, you can put things like lens movement, camera movement, describe the scene, describe the dialogue, describe the character. So all of these things you basically put in via text, and then it creates anywhere from 5 to 8 second video clips. Another one is Sora. Sora is the one that is built into ChatGPT. So if you're on ChatGPT, you can go up to that upper left-hand panel and click on Sora, and Sora is the same thing as Veo. It's you can create 5 second clips based on any prompt. There's also a tool called HeyGen, which will create personalized and avatar-based videos. So you can upload a picture of yourself and then give it a script, and then it will create an avatar of yourself reading that script. And so you don't have to spend time creating a video of yourself as well. So these are some of the really cool tools out there that you can use. A lot of these have free components, so you don't have to pay anything up front. So for that particular video, I use Veo, and then go to the next slide. So this is kind of an example of Sora. So if you look below in this slide, there is the actual prompt. And then I think, Andre, if you can click on that, there's no sound in this, but if you click there, it's an embedded video. So it kind of gives you a little bit of a taste of like how, a simple prompt can create a very photorealistic video. What I did to create my spot is I created a script that had 6 5-second scenes to add up to 30 seconds, created those separate prompts, and then you can download each of those as an MP4 file. Once I did that, I assembled that into a free editing tool. In my case, I have an Apple Macintosh, so that comes with iMovie, which is a free video editing tool, and assembled it in iMovie. And if you go to the next slide. Yeah, so this is just another one. This is kind of shows some of the realism here. So this is a close-up of an eye blinking, and when you talk about like the actual cinematic film, the depth of field, the color, so it gives you very, very realistic results. I mean, that looks like a very human eye and shot, and it's very hard to distinguish that from something that's generated via eye. Obviously, my spot was very cartoony, but there were not actual, but there were people in it that were AI generated. Next slide. Just one last one. This is just, another example of this. We'll play this quickly. So these are all just examples of the type of output that you can generate, from this tool. So that's just really, really hyper realistic here. You can see from the prompt, So here's the other thing as well. Yep, you can go to the next slide. So the other piece is the text. So you can have the tools generate the character speaking or have text, but if you want voiceover or narration or sound effects, there's another tool that I use called 11 Labs. So I use that to generate the voiceover and the character voices for my videos. And in 11 Labs, you can go in and you can choose different voices, different accents, different, male, female, different styles. And then you type in the text, and then it outputs the audio. And then once again, I took those audio MP4s, put that into the video editing tool. That's your audio track. Align it up with your video track, put it all together, export it, and that's when you have your video. The other thing that you can use is Suno, which I use for music or putting a song, creating a song. Once again, you go there, you put in a prompt, and you can use ChatGPT or any of the other tools to generate your prompt for these other tools. So you can say, I need audio for this type of video, create a prompt for Suno. It has to be 30 minutes. Here's the feeling, and it will create the prompt for you to then copy and paste in the Suno that you can then generate the audio that you need for your video. And next slide. So, just to wrap it up, this was kind of quick, but, just for me, my intent here was to kind of show you that you can use other tools, other AI tools outside of ChatGPT, and then beyond just creating a blog or creating a picture, you can use it to create music, you can create it to use voiceover, you can use it to create video, and then you can put all of those together and create actual commercials or spots as well for your business quite easily. So for the next step, what you'd want to do is just experiment with these tools and go out there and play with them and have fun and see what you can build. And so if you want to talk about, some of these concepts, or you're thinking from a business perspective, I really understand Andre, a lot of the stuff that he said makes sense. I don't have a policy in place. I need to help my culture to adopt some of these concepts. It's very confusing out there, all of the different AI tools. I don't know where to start. If you need a free 30-minute AI assessment or 1-hour assessment, we can do that. Here's a link to my calendar. You can set up some time on my calendar, and we can go through some things together to see where you are in your AI adoption journey. So with that, I'll hand it back to Andre.
Yes. Thank you, Barry. And anybody can reach out to to me, and we'll make sure that you get connected. I think part of what I want to add to his presentation. So Barry has done a lot of business analysis on AI and figuring out the processes. So this was more of a presentation on what else can AI do. I think for this audience here, it's going to be maybe more on, if you're hiring a marketing agency, be aware that they're now probably using AI, and it shouldn't take that much time, right? So they should start charging you less, basically, for the projects. Again, I would say that's how I would look at this. And he has really digital marketing agency, so he can do a lot of things around AI or in general marketing. So with that, I want to open it for the questions to what we covered. Anything about Copilot, AI in general, ChatGPT, anybody? I see that there are some things in questions in answers and in chat. Maybe I should have moderated that.
Andre,
Yes.
we have a question here.
Yes.
So using a Copilot, can we use a PDF to do that analysis, or it has to be Word file?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question, please?
Can you use Copilot to do analysis on PDF documents? PDF?
You can, as long as the PDF. So you can teach AI to analyze images. So PDF documents can come in 2 different formats, right? You can have it either it's a text, basically printed PDF from the text. Copilot can do that. If you have if you took a PDF document, you scanned it in a scanner, and then that's a PDF picture, then you need to actually do what's called an OCR, optical character recognition, to analyze that. But AI can do this, and Copilot can do this, but not natively. You actually need to do some programming with it, which we have done. So we did work with the client to analyze images and put things, and analyze and basically create, based on that analysis, do something with it. So that definitely can be done, but requires development.
Okay, that answers. One more question, Andre. On the access for the Copilots, right? Does, let's say, employee A have whatever access you have to go to those within his capabilities. That's what he get access when you use Copilot, right? He will not get other access.
Right. So if the permissions, Copilot will have access to the same things that your user has access to.
Right.
So what's
Okay.
important to make sure that permissions are set up correctly, but then yes, it will not have access to anything that you don't.
But today, for our employees, that is already set up correctly, right? Do you have to do any extra work for that? I think it's already automatically done.
It's the OneDrive.
The OneDrive.
I mean, the OneDrive only belongs to you, but the SharePoint, that's where all the data for the company lives. So instead of file server, the idea is that you use a SharePoint, and in SharePoint you can have different document libraries or teams
Right. Okay.
that have different people in them. And what's important is to make sure that these document libraries and teams have the right security assigned to them, and you didn't accidentally add someone who is not supposed to be there, because again, Copilot will find all the data that you have access to. Did that answer the question?
Yes, Andre. Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. I also have a question here from Anna Macmillan. Do you have a guide to add Copilot to our Microsoft desktop applications if we are using local storage? Or can we only use it in the web platforms with what is in SharePoint OneDrive? So Copilot can work only with data in SharePoint. You can definitely add Copilot app to your local local Word documents and everything, but it's not. It's going to be able to help you draft the document. It will be able to help you draft, create new things. But for it to analyze something, it really needs to be in SharePoint. I would say that your email probably already is, so it will help with email. But for it to analyze the data, it has to live in a SharePoint environment. Anything else?
Well, I had just asked if you're going to be, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, well, I had just asked if you're going to share a AI recording or summary of this meeting. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend the full thing, and I'd appreciate the opportunity to catch up if possible.
Sure. We'll send the recording and the presentation itself as well.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Whoever wants to have it. So basically, I guess let's do this. We will send an email afterwards, thanking for attending. And if you would like to have a presentation, actually, I will send. I can publish the link and I will send the link. So that's not a problem. We'll do it.
Andre, do you have a template for a governance policy that you could share with us?
Yes, Barry has one, and yes, we have one as well.
Okay. That would be very helpful.
Yes. Okay. All right. Well, if there are no more questions, I think we're right on time, 3:01. Look at us. So
Good
thank you
job.
everyone
This was
for
very
attending.
helpful.
I hope this is helpful. We're going to continue doing this.
Mhm.
Again, AI, first of all, it's it's coming up with new things all the time. And we're going to be concentrating more on the business use case for AI. But again, feel free to reach out with any questions. We haven't really touched on a huge subject, which we're probably going to talk about next time, is automations and process automations and like business process improvements and what AI can do there. But again, the first step is really automation. So it's really analyzing what is that you have, the processes that you have, and then automating them, and then putting AI on top of that. So that's probably going to be, if not the next one, but definitely in the future. So again, thank you everyone for attending, and we'll see you next time. All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Barry.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.